皆さん毎度、日本語のエボニーです。Hey y'all. Alright guys, so I know it's been a long time since I've made my last long form video and I'm so sorry that I've been away for so long. Hope you guys have been doing well. And for those who are new here, hi, my name is Ebony. I'm 28 years old. I'm originally from the States, but I have been living in Japan, Yokohama specifically for 3 years now. I originally moved here for language school, and since graduating from language school, I have held a few full-time jobs here and I'm now working part-time so that way I can focus on content creation. I know that a lot of you subscribed for my work vlogs that I was posting earlier this year. Thank you so much for all the likes, the comments, the views. It really means a lot. As a matter of fact, I've actually been focusing on shorts lately because I've been focusing on reels on Instagram, and you should follow me. I would really appreciate it. There are some videos that I post to Instagram that will not make it to YouTube, so you might want to check that out when you have a chance. But as I said, thank you so much for watching my shorts up until now. And as a matter of fact, in one of those shorts, I mentioned that I quit my real estate job, which I'll post a picture of here if you haven't checked that out. And today's video is actually going to highlight my job situation and where I'm headed next in terms of my career here in Japan. And I wanted to take the time to shed a little bit of light about what it means to work here in Japan as a foreigner. And as a preface, let me make myself very clear. I am not bad-mouthing these companies. That's not my intention here. It's more about, unfortunately, the people that I was mistreated by, as well as the systems, because the systems in Japanese companies are more or less not favorable for a lot of people, not just foreigners, but some Japanese have a hard time adjusting too. So without further ado, let's get into it. And by the way, I am going to be reading off my computer so that way I don't miss anything. And in the editing stage, I realized there were a couple of parts that I wanted to include. So in jobs 2 and 3, you will see one freeze frame each. My deepest apologies. Okay, so the first full-time job that I held was at an English school, and I joined that job in August of 2023, right after graduation from my language school. And honestly, it was a very wholesome job atmosphere. Had supportive coworkers, a supportive manager, and just like awesome Japanese staff as well. Since we were client-facing, once we taught our last lesson, we were able to go home. So that was nice. Can't really complain much, but since we were the Yokohama school, we were the main school in Kanagawa, we received a lot of foot traffic, so we were kind of overworked a little bit. And then the other con was the students kind of had somewhat high and at times unreasonable expectations of the teachers. Like, it's impossible to fulfill, but what are you gonna do? Otherwise, it was a fantastic job. I have like good memories for the most part from that job, and I left that job in April 2024 since I had acquired Japanese language proficiency test qualification in N2 just a few months prior to leaving. Okay, so the second full-time job was actually at an educational agency in Tokyo. This was a Japanese company, and I joined in May of 2024. This was a growing Japanese company, so with like maybe around 200 employees at the time that I joined. Let's just get into the red flags because I don't really have good things to say. So this job honestly was such a cutthroat atmosphere, and I didn't hear this only from the foreigners. I also heard this from like the Japanese employees there too. So when the Japanese coworkers are complaining about the atmosphere, that's how you know it's bad. And also the president and vice president of this company also had this cutthroat attitude, and they were adamant that had to have this cutthroat atmosphere. And the department that I was in specifically, it was very administrative work heavy, and the vice president that was over our department, as well as like the department leaders, stressed that we needed to get everything right all the time, which is like theoretically impossible because humans make mistakes. And as a matter of fact, like my department leaders, my coworkers, and myself, like we were all making mistakes. And I think this was constantly due to like the changing systems within the department, within the company. Like we had things changing literally multiple times a week, sometimes even a few times in a day. So like not many of us in the department could really like keep up. The department I was in at this educational agency did not allow us to be independent at all. Like we had every one of our moves watched all the time, and it made me personally go insane, and it made most of my coworkers in the department feel like that we could not be entrusted as employees. So to move on to the mistreatment that I received in the department, I actually was harassed by this female department leader. We're gonna call her R, and R had this like weird double personality where she'd be like all holly jolly with you, treat you like you were her best friend, like talk to you, have all this casual conversation, but then she would then turn around and have this like attitude where like if you were to make mistakes on a work assignment, she would literally rat you out, like embarrass you publicly about whatever mistake that you've made. And unfortunately, I I noticed this, and some other people in the department noticed this too. R was actually treating the females harsher than the males in the department, and so I actually snitched on her to the vice president that was running our department at the time, and that led him to have meetings with all the females in the department to kind of see what was going on. So what I wanted to add is that we all had this like 2-month check-in feedback meeting, and in my feedback meeting I was offered a good deal of backhanded feedback. The leaders in this meeting, one of them named R and the other one we'll call C, basically mentioned that 1, I was slouching too much in my chair. I mentioned to the leaders that I was just following by example, and plus when sitting in a chair for hours your back just starts to get tired, right? The second piece of feedback was that my resting bitch face was too strong. Basically, in this company-wide meeting that we had, a Japanese staff was presenting and he looked at our department specifically when he told the joke, and I was one of the very few that did not laugh, mainly because I didn't understand the joke. And so in response to this backhanded feedback, I said I didn't know to laugh at the joke. I just didn't know that it was supposed to be funny. The third and final piece of feedback was that I wasn't speaking up enough in our weekly afternoon department meetings, and this was in an unfair comparison to my doki, the 2 other coworkers that entered the company at the same time as me, who were speaking up way more in said meetings. Mind you, we haven't even started the 3rd month of work, and the 1st month of work was all theoretical or book training, and so only in the 2nd month were we able to dive into actual practical work. So I barely knew the policies of the department, and I hadn't really gotten the chance to partake in like any juicy or beefy assignments that my other coworkers were already partaking in. And so I mentioned that contributing was above my knowledge, and rather than say something stupid or like unnecessary, I'd rather just not say anything at all and just listen intently so that way I could speak up in the future. Because who wants to make a total fool of themselves at work, right? So me defending myself was not taken lightly by me nor them. Me because I ended up missing work for the next couple of days, and them, well, the leaders did not like that I defended myself, and I apparently was supposed to apologize for the defending as well as like my other actions, but I didn't at first because mainly I felt like this feedback was just them picking on me as if I were back in high school. And so basically it all snowballed into like 1 or 2 weeks later in me having this impromptu meeting with the department leaders, the vice president, and the president, in which the president ridiculed me, saying that
feedback is a gift. You should not have been complaining about that in your meeting.
And that if I didn't apologize and fix this in within 2 to 3 weeks, my contract would be terminated and I would be out of a job. And so basically the president's assistants overheard what had went on in that meeting, and she worked with me to create a meeting script to try to confront the president and the vice president in an effort to, apologize and be thankful for my job and the feedback that I had gotten. The meeting was fine, but after it's all said and done, I was just like, this was such a waste of time and energy, and this shouldn't have had to happen. Finally was very much giving cult, because we had this like company pledge that we had to say like pretty much every week, and then we also had like a separate pledge for our department that we needed to go around and say pretty much every day at our morning meeting. And due to this, people were constantly quitting. Like we were getting new hires pretty much every other month, and because all the experienced people were leaving and so many new hires were coming in, there just wasn't enough experienced people to keep up with the large volume of work that was given. And the last thing that I want to mention is that at my 6-month check-in meeting where I'm supposed to become like a permanent employee, that was actually put on hold for another month because I was like making errors and whatnot on the job that they needed me to fix. And with that 1-month hold period, I decided early on that I did not want to remain at the company. So I ended up leaving said job in November of 2024. Third full-time job was a real estate agency in Tokyo, and I joined that job in January of 2025. This was a very small Japanese company, and there were only 4 people in the department that I was in. So a female superior, we're gonna call S, me, and then 2 other new hires, like a Japanese guy and then this dude from Australia. So starting out was good. I was pumped to be in an environment with a smaller department, would give us more independence, and I was also excited that my business Japanese would improve by leaps and bounds. And unlike at the last company where the president and vice president were male, at this real estate agency we had a female president, and she was kind enough to oversee the new hires as we started working our first few weeks there. So here come the red flags as we got into the busy season. So this was like spring 2025. Me and the new hires were making mistakes, and so was S as well, the superior. Literally, we were all just making mistakes across the board for various reasons. And I also felt like that this company was biting off way way too much more they could chew in terms of like the various business ventures that we had to oversee. There were not enough people to oversee all the business ventures that they wanted us to handle. And so all of this made for like very unhappy clients and a lot of complaints coming through like pretty much all the time. And unfortunately, the new hires were kind of making like the same mistakes, I guess, just due to the training not being as sufficient as it should have been. But what I noticed was I, as the female, was getting reprimanded for those mistakes more so than my male new hire counterparts, which I thought was extremely unfair. And what I wanted to add is, remember when I told you guys earlier about the other coworker that's this Australian guy? So in the last month and a half of my employment, he actually gave me the silent treatment.
Oh, hell no!
The multiple business ventures that this real estate agency had, he ended up being in charge of venture B, which required a driver's license. I was supposed to be partnering with him on this venture, but I don't hold a Japanese driver's license, so there really was not much at all that I could do to assist him. Thus, he was doing a lot of the work by himself. So anyways, on one of his days off, he entrusted me to put aside this item for a customer so that way it will be ready for them when they come to the office, which I indeed did. Fast forward to about a week later, we get a complaint from the customer saying that this is not the item that they requested. And so this Australian coworker puts this photo and this passive aggressive message into our department's group chat saying item B, which is the item I selected, was not the correct item. It should have been item A. This item A that he was referring to was not on the company's website for the customers to see, nor was it in our internal database. And on the day that I was entrusted with this task, all I could see in the stockroom was item B because the stockroom was in a horrible condition and like nothing could really be found. And so the aforementioned reasons, I put that as a reply into our department's line chat saying if the customer could even see this item on the website, this complaint and this mistake would have never happened. And so before these angry text messages were put into the line chat, we were talking it up with each other. Like we're the only two foreigners in the company, so like we got along like pretty well. But after those messages, I noticed he stopped talking to me, and the only reason that he would even look my way or like talk to me was if there was a phone call that came in for me. And mind you, this man was 34, giving me, a 28-year-old, the silent treatment. How much more childish could you be? So then fast forward to like my 6-month check-in meeting where I'm supposed to become a permanent employee. Long story short, my promotion was put on hold for another 2 months. One of the reasons being, yes, I was making mistakes on the job that they needed me to fix, but then I was found to have broken these like Japanese company rules, one of which was that you're not supposed to be chewing gum at the desk. Like, it helped me to stay awake. You can't really fall asleep at the job, right? That's not a thing. And the other thing was because I was doing personal grooming at the desk. But to be fair, A, occurred before 10 o'clock, before my shift was supposed to start. B, it was literally just me taking out like my bangs roller and like brushing out my bangs, all of which would take 2 minutes tops, promise. And as a result of this 6-month check-in meeting, many tasks were taken away from me, thus not leaving me with much to do during the workday. That just left me in shock, literally showed me that I was not needed as an employee at the company. And so all of this made me very depressed, to the point that even the president noticed my sulky attitude, and she called me into this impromptu one-on-one meeting. When I told her everything that happened, this is what she had to say in reply.
The Japanese company rules that you were claimed to have broken, honestly, those were things that probably bothered S. Like, we don't really have any rules at this company. B, as for the tasks that were taken away from you, I really can't vouch or help you in this instance. You're gonna have to just figure this out by yourself. I'm so sorry.
Yo, when I tell you, that just blew me out the water. Like, she, as a superior, failed me. She really was not willing to help me in the time that I needed her most. And with all this that had happened up until that point, I used that just under that 2 months to decide that I didn't want to be at that company anymore. And so I left said company in August of 2025. Hallelujah. Okay, so let's get into our reflection portion of the video. Unfortunately, these experiences made me really doubt myself as a person, like especially with the not being able to fulfill the unrealistic expectations of working in a Japanese company. And on top of that, I had quit 2 companies in just 1 year's time. Like, up until this point, I had been going through life receiving compliments such as, you got a good head on your shoulders, you're gonna go so far in life, oh, you're so smart. But for all of this to happen, like, the math was not mathing. Like, maybe the Japanese company system is just not built for me to thrive, or maybe I just entered the wrong company Japanese? I don't really know. But I really do hope that R and S do get their karma, because the mistreatment that I received from both of them was so uncalled for. I didn't deserve that at all. And so to continue, I think that the full-time job at a Japanese company era in my life has since ended, for now at least, because I have now decided that there's more to life than doing a dead-end job where there may or may not be room for advancement. These experiences also made me realize that you've got to know when to leave the job. And there's a popular meme that's out there that's like, know when to leave the job, the party, the relationship. And these full-time job experiences have taught me when to leave the job. Like, if it is not serving you, you gotta go. And there's so many more opportunities out there in this world than just working 45 plus weeks at companies, I promise you. And if you're working at a company, no matter where you are, it doesn't matter if it's Japan, the United States, wherever, and it's literally messing with your mental health, like you can't take it there anymore, you've got to leave. I know I might be in a privileged position to say something like that, but do not stay at a job just for your friends, just for your coworkers. Your life and your mental health are worth more than a job, are worth more than a paycheck. You really should consider leaving and doing something else for your life, because working at a place that is mistreating you or overworking you to the bone, it's not worth it. It's really not. So with that said, I am a little fed up by the experiences that I've had up until this point, but honestly, I'm also kind of fired up because it's enabled me to take the driver's seats for my future, right? And moving forward, I'm looking forward to using my foreign language talents and creative skills in the content creation realm, or digital medium realm, or even like the travel sector, or at a minimum marketing, and also do like a little bit of language teaching, like Japanese teaching on the side. And of course, I want to do all of this in Japan, as I have zero interest in returning to the States. And all of this is to say, I still would recommend working in Japan for anyone who is looking to do so. It is definitely hit or miss in terms of companies, but thanks to these experiences, my business Japanese has improved by leaps and bounds, and I also got to know and keep in contact with some awesome people. Additionally, it helped me to find out what I do and don't want in terms of a career, and gain valuable experience of working in a foreign country. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I have to say. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on all of this. I would love to have a little bit of open dialogue with y'all. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I look forward to sharing more of my life here in Japan with you guys. この動画は良かったなと思っていたら高評価お願いします。いいねお願いします。そしてご登録よろしくお願いいたします。はい、では最後までご視聴ありがとうございました。次の動画でまたお会いしましょう。それでは。